If you are not reading Black Clover, then you need to get on the boat, ride the wave with us, read the manga.
Read, nigga, read!
The story is, it's so good. It's so good, okay? Welcome to my channel. It's your girl, Sweet Tea. I'm an otaku hottie who loves all things anime, manga, comics, TV shows, film, you name it. And if you are also interested in those topics, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe so we can have a fun time with chill vibes. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about anime and manga series that I feel like gets a lot of unnecessary hate. That series is Black Clover. Now, for those of you who don't know what Black Clover is or what it is about, it's essentially about this boy named Asta who is born into a world that is filled with magic, especially within the kingdom that he lives in, the Clover Kingdom. And then you have these royals who have all this magic power. They have huge mana reserves. Then you have commoners who can use magic, and then you have peasants, and they're kind of looked down upon, and like they can't really use magic too well, or they don't have a lot of mana they can use. And then you have Asta, who's born into this world that revolves around magic, and he literally has no ounce of mana within him whatsoever. He has no mana, and on top of that, he's a peasant too. So basically almost this entire society looks down upon him because of how he was born. But Asta's ultimate dream is to become the Wizard King, which is the most powerful mage within the Clover Kingdom. And so basically the story is about Asta overcoming all these trials so he can get to that point where he is granted the title of the Wizard King. That is what Black Clover is about. And so I honestly don't understand why Black Clover gets so much hate. A lot of people like to compare it to Naruto and My Hero Academia and a lot of other shonen series as well, saying Black Clover copies off of a lot of those things. And on top of that too, Black Clover I know has gotten some flack in the anime section, at least because like it's a rough start in the anime. Asta's voice in the anime can be a bit annoying at the very beginning, and on top of that too, the animation is inconsistent. Sure, like most series, Black Clover does have its issues. However, I feel like these initial problems that people have with Black Clover are overshadowing the many great things that are going on within this series. And it's unfortunate because I feel like people are missing out on the potential and the greatness that is within Black Clover. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about what makes Black Clover so great and why it honestly deserves some more love. Like, come on, y'all. Like, I get that it has its issues, but give Black Clover its credit where it's due. Like, it needs some more love. It deserves it. So one thing that makes Black Clover great is its character development. For this video, I'm going to be specifically diving into Asta, the main protagonist of the series. So Asta often gets compared to a lot of different shonen protagonists such as Naruto and Deku. But Asta is honestly very different from these characters. Sure, they do have their similarities, but they have different circumstances that they each go through and have to deal with. Naruto, for instance, was born to be special because of the circumstances of his birth. He was born with the nine-tailed fox Jinchuriki, among other things as well, if you read Naruto or Naruto Shippuden, if you kept up with those series. And so those things inherently catapulted Naruto down his path that he was destined to go on. And essentially Naruto wanted to become the Hokage because he wanted to be acknowledged by people. He wanted acknowledgement because he was shunned by society. He was shunned by the Leaf Village. And so he just wanted people to finally acknowledge him and respect him. Now with Deku, on the other hand, it's a little different because although Deku was born with no quirk, 20% of the population within the world of My Hero Academia does not have a quirk. So even though you were born without a quirk, you could still be a respectable person of society, like a doctor or a business person or whatnot. Like, society will not completely shun you if you do not have a quirk. So eventually Deku does obtain, you know, one for all from All Might, which that he inherits it from. And so then that catapults and thrusts Deku forward towards trying to strive to become the best hero of all time. You know, like this is his story of how he becomes the #1 hero. Whereas Asta's circumstances are a lot different. In a world that is filled with magic, mind you, Asta is an anomaly because he has no magical ability and he is a peasant. He is he is the bottom of the barrel. So essentially, Asta could have chosen to stay that way. Asta could have chosen to, you know, curse fate, curse society for shunning him, and just be all negative and doubtful all the time because he does not have magic. He cannot use magic. But Asta chose the path he went down on. Asta chose to train his body to its physical peak condition because, you know, if he can't use magic, you know, he still wants to be useful somehow. He still wants to train because he has this drive, this goal and ambition towards becoming the Wizard King. Whereas Naruto was born with this ability and Deku inherits great ability. But Asta literally has no powers whatsoever. Things do not change for Asta until he obtains the 5-leaf Grimoire. That part even gets compared to Naruto as well because Naruto has literally a demon living inside of him, whereas Asta's Grimoire has a demon within it. So people try to say, well, it's like they both have their demons in them. But no, Asta does not have a demon inside of him. The demon itself is in the Grimoire, but the Grimoire chose to go to Asta, mostly also because Asta was the only one who could really harness the power of the 5 Clover Grimoire because of the special properties of the Grimoire. And on top of that too, the Grimoire has those anti-magic swords. Like literally the swords are meant to negate magic, and Asta is the only one who can use them because he has no mana, he has no magic abilities. So combined with his physical strength that he's been building up and training and working hard towards, you know, getting his body into peak condition, he uses these swords, these anti-magic swords, to level the playing field. There are still fights where he's, you know, he can't completely beat certain foes, but he gradually just keeps training with these swords to get better. He still has no powers. So that is a huge difference between Naruto and Deku versus Asta for one. Because of Asta's hard work and determination, he is working hard and striving his best to beat the system that was designed to keep him down. And he often gets compared to Naruto because of his ambition to become the Wizard King, but Asta's ambition is a lot different from Naruto. In the beginning, Naruto was being selfish. He just wanted to be acknowledged by people, you know? He just wanted to be seen. Whereas Asta wants to become the Wizard King is because he wants to bring down the system that discriminates people because of their magical abilities, as well as keep his loved ones safe and also have a better, like, try to make the world a better place. Like, that is Asta's ultimate ambition when it comes to him wanting to be the Wizard King. Ultimately, Asta's character as a whole is all about hard work, perseverance, dedication, and ambition towards going after your dreams, going after your goals. No matter what roadblocks stop you, you have to keep moving forward and keep persevering. That is literally Asta's whole personification, and I feel like we can honestly learn a lot from him. Sure, Asta is honestly pretty simple character at first, but it's those moments that we actually see moments of weakness within Asta that really hit home with us, you know, those thoughts of inadequacy, the insecurities. That's what really hits home. And you know, Asta is in a way just like us when it comes to like wondering if we are good enough. There is a moment within Black Clover where a curse befalls Asta and he cannot use both of his arms, and so he can't swing his swords. And he even goes to the best medical mage in the entire Clover Kingdom, and he tells him this curse is stuck, he cannot use his arms. And for a second too, like, we see a moment of weakness with Asta after some time, thinking if he will ever be able to be a magic knight. Is it even worth training anymore? Will he ever become the Wizard King? And you know what? He has to yell at himself and tell himself to stop, because that's not who he is, and he's gonna find a way, one way or another, to still go after his dream, even though he got hit with such a huge setback. And just seeing that really makes you feel for the character because you see that vulnerability within Asta's character. You see that moment, that humanity within Asta. Like he's just not a protagonist. He's an actual person with these own insecurities, and he's probably grown up with them his entire life as well. And not only is Asta's optimism and perseverance really uplifting to watch, but it's also very infectious, and it influences the people around him, especially his squad mates on the Black Bulls Magic Knight squad. Another thing that makes Black Clover a good series is that it has a pretty solid supporting cast. Specifically for this, I'm going to be talking about the Black Bulls Magic Knight squad that Asta eventually ends up joining after he completes the Magic Knight entrance exam. For some background reference, within the Clover Kingdom, there are Magic Knight squads, and so they also have rankings too. And so depending on how you do within the Magic Knight entrance exam, you could get into one of these squads. And so the Black Bulls is like technically the lowest ranked squad, like the lowest of the low. And they are made up with the rejects of society in a sense. But it's because of all their unique background, I feel like it makes them a really well-rounded group. Each person within the squad has really interesting dynamics of different characters within the squad, and it allows them to be able to mesh well together, especially when Asta comes into the fold. Each person that Asta really comes into contact with within the Black Bulls has a huge influence on them, and his infectious optimism and perseverance and hard-working attitude just influences the people around him to just work hard to be the best that they can be and to just ultimately keep pushing forward, even though the Black Bulls are seen as like the lowest of the low in terms of the Magic Knight squads. We also get to see the Black Bulls deal with their own personal insecurities as well. Each Black Bull has something about them that maybe they feel really insecure about, or maybe they don't feel inherently strongly about their ability, but because of Asta's influence as well as their goals and their aspirations for themselves, it pushes them forward. A saying that Yami, the captain of the Black Bulls, always has is surpass your limits, and that is what these characters do oftentimes, especially within the team fights too. A lot of the really cool fights that happen within Black Clover are some really dope team battles and combinations and team ups of different people, and so when the Black Bulls team up with each other, they are working really hard to support one another. You see them use this quote-unquote power of friendship, but it really isn't the power of friendship cliche. It's them putting their trust in each other's abilities and knowing that because of the trust they're putting in each other's abilities, that they're going to come out on top. So they have to first of all trust themselves and trust their teammates. So that's honestly a really interesting aspect to see in anime and manga, and honestly it's really refreshing to watch as well. Another thing that people often try to compare Black Clover and Naruto to is the relationships that Naruto has and the relationship that Asta has, inherently the rival. In Black Clover, Asta has this rival named Yuno, and Yuno is like his adopted brother as well as his best friend and rival, and they often compare that relationship to Sasuke and Naruto. But Yuno and Sasuke are inherently two different people. Sure, Yuno's really gifted, he has like this huge magical ability, he's a prodigy and whatnot, but the thing about Yuno is that Yuno and Asta grew up together, and Yuno respects Asta as well. No matter how many people doubt Asta, Yuno still respects Asta, and they both push each other to be the best that they can be, because it's also Yuno's goal to become the Wizard King along with Asta. So they ultimately know that if it's one person who can do it, it's Yuno or it's Asta. Like, they push each other to be better, and they think highly of one another too. So if someone tries to talk down on them, they will defend them. And so I think that's a really special thing to see and witness about Asta and Yuno's relationship is that they have this rivalry, but they push each other to be better. And their team ups, they have such really cool team up moments within the series as well, to the point where it's like, it's pretty dope to watch. Like, and so it's so awesome to see them cheer each other on, but at the same time it's like, you're my rival, you know? It's a refreshing take. Whereas with the relationship between Sasuke and Naruto was really different. Sasuke is kind of fueled by vengeance because of everything that's happened to him and just the circumstances that Sasuke grew up in. And him and Naruto weren't really that close in their childhood until they were kind of forcibly put in the same squad. So there are definitely inherent differences between Yuno and Sasuke. But I really like that aspect of Yuno and Asta, because we can really see what a healthy friendship looks like, as well as a healthy rivalry. Oh my gosh, sorry y'all, I got my words twisted there. A healthy rivalry. There we go. On top of that, another thing that Black Clover has honestly over a lot of different shonen series is that it has a pretty solid female cast. Like, the female characters within Black Clover are simply amazing. They're all powerful, they're all strong and unique in their own way, and they all have different quirks about them, you know? And I think that's what really makes them interesting, especially because like one of the strongest characters within the entire Clover Kingdom is like this dope person named Mereoleona. She's a complete boss. I stand Mereoleona. Like, she is a queen, okay? And then you just see these different personalities and these different types of female characters interacting with each other, but they're still confident in their own way. Specifically, the main female protagonist of the series, you have Noelle Silva. She is from one of the royal nobility houses, the Silva household, and Noelle was born with a huge amount of magical potential and a huge mana reserve, but she doesn't have any control over her abilities. So her whole life she was ostracized by her family and made fun of and teased and whatnot because she could not control her magic. Essentially, things change when she is put on the Black Bull Squad, because then she comes into contact with Asta. And at first she did look down on Asta, but it wasn't until after they had an interaction with each other and Asta compliments, you know, how much magical potential that she has, that she starts to look at things differently. And she gets inspired by Asta to work hard and train so that she can, you know, prove people wrong, especially her doubters and her family members, you know? And Noelle is constantly doing that throughout the story. There are even some moments within the series where, you know, the situation does look dire, but Noelle still does something to help, even though she doesn't have the best control over her magic, because it's not in Noelle's character to just sit there and just do nothing, you know? And it's those little contributions that build up over time. So all the training and hard work that Noelle goes through eventually allows her to evolve into becoming this awesome female lead character who's more confident in herself and sure of herself. And you see her overcome her own insecurities as well as prove her haters wrong. So that's a really awesome part of Black Clover that I absolutely love. In conclusion, Black Clover has so much potential within itself. Especially if you read the manga, you really understand how much potential that this series has, especially within terms of world building. Even its power system is pretty unique too, because everyone has these different awesome unique magical attributes and these different combinations of magic, and it's really a creative and diverse world that Yuki Tabata has created. And I'm looking forward to seeing how Black Clover can continue to grow and expand, especially because the current arc the manga is in right now, which is the Spade arc, is simply it's amazing, okay? It's some gas. If you are not reading Black Clover, then you need to get on the boat, ride the wave with us, read the manga.
Read, nigga, read!
The story is, it's so good. It's so good, okay? Now, I understand why people do have its issues with Black Clover, because the anime does have more of the issues. Like, people have more issues with the anime versus the manga. Again, like, you have Asta's rough voice in the beginning. It honestly takes you about like 30 episodes to really get into the series in Black Clover if you're watching instead of reading the manga. And then also there are definitely inconsistencies within the animation, but if you push past all that, or if you just read the manga first instead, you really find yourself falling in love with these characters, and it really makes the series something special. Personally, I honestly had my doubts about Black Clover. I remember when it first came out, and I remember how many people were talking down on it, and I was really hesitant to really start Black Clover and get into it. But eventually I did start Black Clover, and I actually started with the anime first. And after I got past those first 30 episodes, the anime really started picking up, and I'm like, hold on, this is some gas, low-key. Like, this is low-key some gas. Like, okay. And so the more you get into Black Clover, like, the better and better and better it gets, especially if you read the manga, because the manga is such a quick read. And so soon you're just completely enveloped in this magical story, and it leaves you wanting more. If you can get through 1,000 chapters of One Piece and 957 episodes of One Piece, you can go ahead and start Black Clover. Like, you can get through Black Clover like easily. Like, come on now. But I highly recommend checking Black Clover out. I understand that it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I still think the series is really good, and I feel like the hate it gets is unwarranted at times. Again, like I said, every series has its issues, but I just feel like Black Clover honestly deserves more love and recognition. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like what I had to say, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell notification to stay notified on when I upload new videos. On top of that too, make sure you follow me on my socials. I would love to hear from you all, and I would love to talk and engage with you all outside of YouTube as well. And make sure you also let me know down below in the comments, are you a Black Clover fan? What do you love about Black Clover? What is something about Black Clover that you feel like makes this series special? Or are you kind of someone who second guessed or doubted Black Clover, you know? What is something that was one issue that you did have of the series that you're just not sure about? And do you think you might start Black Clover because of this video? Let me know down below. I would love to hear your thoughts. Thank you guys again so much, and I hope you all have a fantastic day. Bye bye.